Are You with Julian on the Brownlow and a review of X, a horror movie that came out in 2022 and immediately was followed by Pearl, which I'm probably going to watch tonight, which is a prequel origin story of X, and it's by T. West, or Timon C. West, an American director who seems to have quite a lot of kudos built up, but I don't think I've seen any of his films at all. Both X and Pearl were rated as the top 2 horror films of last year. I don't know that I agree. I can certainly see why. Very, very low budget slasher film starring Mia Goth, who stars in both films. She is the heroine in X and the antagonist in X, and in Pearl she does the origin story of the antagonist in this film, I think. Now, so the setup is there's a group of 4 people. No, there's not 4 people. There's 3 girls, 2 of which are on their way to make a pornographic movie, and there are 3 guys. That's right, isn't it? One of whom is making the film and wants to make an art house film. So this is in the start of the 70s when adult movies were becoming a thing. He wants to make an adult movie that is a good film. A lot of this film references itself in a very amenable manner, like when they talk about Mia Goth as a porn actress having the X factor and stuff like that, when the viewer is saying she actually does have the X factor. There's lots of self-referential stuff going on here, which I really liked. I thought it was great. Jenny Ortega, who is a girl at the moment from the Wednesday TV series, and Brittany Snow, they're all on their way in their van to make a porno in some guy. I never quite got around the fact why they had to go to some remote farmhouse to make a porno. It's like, this is like there's a lot of this that does reference other areas of life, and I thought this was kind of like the Airbnb group from hell. You know, they're coming to your place. Actually, they don't leave a mess. Apart from on someone's back. We won't go into that at the moment. But they're actually a pretty, you know, they're not drinking excessively or partying too loud. But why would you need to go to some remote location on a farmhouse to make your porno? Why can't you do it in your flat? There doesn't seem to be any reason for any of that. Oh, okay, because it's the farmer's daughter. Yeah, okay, I get that bit. All right, I've finally worked out. So the first half of this film is them travelling along and talking about, you know, the emotional side of making a porno. You've got the lead guy, and his girlfriend is the Mia Goth character, who is the lead actress here, really, going to make a porno. And then you've got the 2 people who are another couple, who is the guy who wants to make a porno that is actually a good film, and his girlfriend, who is the Jenny Ortega character, who's along for the ride, basically. And they come out to this remote location. There's this very badly prosthetically made up guy. This is a film that cost under $1 million. Terrible prosthetics. And he's like, you know, I don't really like you people, but here's your really nice place. Like, every time you look at houses now on films, and the fact that none of us in Sydney or London or New York can afford to buy a house ever, you're looking at these places going, God, I'd love to live there. Even though it's this decrepit shack in the middle of nowhere. So they make their porno. It's quite an explicit film with regards to nudity and sex. And the cameraman, producer, director's girlfriend, who's been very prudish, the Jenny Ortega character, says, I want to do a scene, which causes all hell to break loose, because the other girls are very much embodying this free spirit vibe. And, you know, she starts quizzing them. How your boyfriend's here. How can you let her make a porn scene with this guy when you're in the room and you know that she's cheating on you? And they start going through, you know, this is not a relationship, this is sex. And she gets sucked into, I want to do this. And the boyfriend, who's the producer, director, is so pissed off, he tries to leave in the night, which involves the people that own the property coming involved, and it turns into a Friday the 13th Texas Chainsaw Massacre slasher. So there's an awful lot to recommend here. I kind of wish they'd stuck with the porno and made it a drama. Because the slasher couple, the old couple in the house, there's lots of humanizing elements to them, which go beyond the normal horror tropes. But they're, other than the fact that you kind of feel it when they're talking about, you know, the old lady is decrepit and she looks at the young Mia Goth, both are played by Mia Goth. As you know, you've got your body and your sexuality and all these things I wish I still had. All of that's very powerful, and I really like that side of it. But it's not. Other than that, they're not a particularly well-defined serial killer slasher trope couple. Not that any of them are, but that it didn't hold that much impact for me. They start knocking off people, and there are some really good scenes which are really well done. The old people having sex and Mia Goth under the bed, and it continually pushes the viewer's face into, look at these old people, look at them being intimate, look at them touching, and how much you're reviled by them doing these things, and how awful is the viewer from being so reviled, which I loved. I loved all of that, and the individual moments were well helmed when it descended after a long gap into being a horror movie. I thought were very well done. But I just didn't think the serial killer family had much of it. They weren't as interesting as the lead up. The lead up, when they're all making the porno and they're all having, you know, the girlfriend of the filmmaker is breaking out from her thing and he's dealing with his thing. I thought they could have made a drama out of that and left it. They didn't really need to do the other horror side of it. So maybe Pearl opens up how interesting the woman is, but they weren't in this film. I didn't think that the jarring prosthetics as well, like they're really cringy, and I thought that you know, the relationship between the old guy and the old woman, and the fact that he can't have sex with her anymore, and she is desperately longing to be in this place where these beautiful young women are, was all really strong. But I just thought the slasher side of it wasn't any more interesting than the average Friday the 13th fare. Mia Goth was amazing. She's obviously, you know, going to be a megastar. She's got the look. She's so hot, and she has the X factor. And you know, she's great. And I'm really looking forward to watching Pearl. I just don't, you know, there wasn't anything that was particularly bad about this film. I just thought that how high up it's been elevated as an amazing masterpiece, because it references other films, I didn't get that pulled through that much. I felt like I was really in tune with their whole vibe once they got to the horror movie part of it, and I thought individual scenes in the horror movie part of it were really cool. But other than that, really generic and rote. I thought that, you know, the whole old people being touchy and sexual and stuff was great. It made the viewer so uncomfortable. But a lot of the other stuff was just ordinary and rote. But still, very interesting film, and I look forward to watching A24. A24, the studio A24, is up for something like 15 Oscars, the most of any studio this year, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. For fans of The Witch and Hereditary and about 10 of the last decade's best films, I don't see this as being as good as any of those. So I'm going to give it a very solid 7.5 out of 10 for X. A lot I really liked about it, and I was expecting more in other areas. So 7.5 out of 10, definitely worth a watch for X.